Okay, AI scientists, scholar, practitioner, leaders, we are now back for our lecture 2 of 4. We just concluded lecture 1 of 4 for our 2025 fall application of AI and risk management section MSAI 632, B02, and B04 for our second by term. Okay, guys, we was just speaking on our week 3 learning material, and I was going over our 14 module objectives, right? And I concluded on number 10. So I just want to wrap that up, guys. Again, as I just stated, there was 14 items. So picking up at number 10 of those module objectives from week 3, it was all about describing those challenges that can result from a lack of meaningful risk assessment processes, right? So that was very instrumental, guys, along with the previous 9 that I mentioned. So 10 of 14, making sure that you was able to describe those challenges that can actually result from a lack of meaningful risk assessment processes. So the key was when you're doing a risk assessment type process, make sure that it is actually meaningful, that you're getting what you need out of it. Because if not, and that was what it was all about in the chapter as you read, then it's not meaningful, right? So the risk assessment has to be what it actually states, a risk assessment of the process or processes that you're actually assessing, right? So that is always crucial. If you guys are familiar with failure modes and effect analysis, doing those are really, really nice to use. They come up with a SOD score, right? Understanding what SOD is all about, making sure you can get that risk priority number. And the SOD is an acronym for severity, occurrence, and detection. So I'm not going to tell you, you guys have to do your research on a FEMA. It's an acronym for failure modes and effect analysis. And you'll see that is a huge risk assessment tool that spans across all industries. So Google that, guys. You're getting it here verbally. It's not going to be in the book, but you're getting it from this week's week 4 lecture from yours truly. So a FEMA, which is an acronym for failure, modes, effect with an E, analysis with an A. FMEA analysis, and it does the hierarchical when it comes to understanding a severity of a process, right? You come up with a RPN number. So that's really, really interesting when you get that number. So that is the risk priority number, right? And then it's all derived from as I just previously mentioned, the SOD scoring. Okay, each step of the process, you're going to look at each process, and you're going to have to assess each step of the process. So you have 15 steps. You got to go to each one of those line items, each of those processes, to really do a meaningful risk assessment, thus failure modes and effect analysis. Okay, FEMA. So really Google it, guys, or do your research on it. You're gonna thank me later. A FEMA, they use it for design failure modes and effect analysis with a D in front of it, design failure modes and effect analysis. They do it for a process failure modes and failure modes and effect analysis. Either way, it's all predicated on the acronym FMEA. So you have the D for design, process, failure modes and effect analysis, design, failure modes and effect analysis. It's all predicated on what I just alluded to, FEMA. Okay, so look at that, guys. You'll really like that. It's really cool how they come up with this. The SOD was derived from the SOD, the severity, the occurrence, and the detection SOD, SOD, to come up with their risk priority number. I'm not going to tell you how. You're going to have to do your research. Okay, and that RPN number is huge. And once you get that number, there is logic behind the number. So you're going to have to figure it out when you do your research. Again, you would thank me. That is something good to have in your toolkit as you progress being the best AI scientist that you can be. as you go through your careers. You know now how to do a very, very high level risk assessment. And there you go. So that's compliments of yours truly. Okay. So also, number 11 of 14 was all about explaining the use of appropriate risk metrics. Haha. Again, risk priority number, you can use that. That is the Bible and their importance. Same thing. You get all that out of that FEMA analysis, guys. Failure modes and effect analysis. That's just one, too. There's so many tools, but that is one of the best. Like I said, it spans across various industries: AI, data, data science, artificial intelligence, engineering, uh, value stream analysis when you're talking about Six Sigma, things of that nature. So looking in the DOD, Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, the Federal Drug Administration, United States Department of Agriculture. It's all in various types of regulated industries that tool plays a high importance on evaluating and assessing risk. So that's why I'm really making sure that you guys hear what I'm saying. So I want you to do your research. And that's something, if you want to shoot me an email after you look it up and see what it's all about, feel free to shoot me a note to let me know what you got out of it. It's just something that you're doing on your own. It's not an assignment for this week forward, but if you would like to look at something that's going to benefit you for the rest of your careers, you will really like this. Okay, so I'm really highly advocating this. This is something that's pro bono. It's not a part of the this week's assignment. It's just something to keep the juices flowing as professional AI scientists. Okay, and like I said, I know you guys will really enjoy that because you guys are the best of the best. Okay, alrighty. So number 12 was evaluating risk quantification challenges, mismeasurement of known risks. Okay. So all this ties in together again about those meaningful risk assessment processes. Okay. 13, explain the importance of communicating risk to top management. Okay. Basically, the discovery items that you assess that you found out by using the appropriate tool, and now you need to convey your results to leadership. Okay, so you guys are truly, AI scientists are truly the backbone of any organization when you're talking about mitigating risk. Okay, and then the last module objective from that past week 3, guys, that you guys saw already, that you went through from the chapter 2 assignments, as well as going through your PowerPoints and doing all your readings, was number 14 was discussing the challenges resulting from a lack of monitoring and managing risks. Okay. So it's all about managing and mitigating risk from week 3, guys, as well as the textbook chapter 2. So I just want to make sure that you guys really had fun reading chapter 2 because, as you saw, it was all about data management and preparation. So there were some great sections there when they talked about volume and velocity as well as variety. So, and I'm sure being the AI connoisseurs that you guys are, as far as absorbing all that great knowledge, you really appreciate that. And then you also saw the area where they talked about the importance of data governance to the risk function. Okay. They talked about a major transformation challenge. I know you guys really enjoyed that. There was 4 closely related topics. You remember that risk supervisory review, the risk data aggregation, and the risk reporting practices, and last but not least, risk governance and infrastructure. Okay. And then they got into those 11 key principles, as I mentioned last week. Okay. Those areas were really, really crucial when it was using a bank as the overall core as far as data aggregation and its capabilities, right? Right. When they talked about reporting risk practices. So I thought those 11 principles was cool, really engaging when you're talking about a specific industry and how they use that to really gauge the overall risk exposure with management. So that was really, really interesting, guys. I know you appreciated that. At least looking at your homework, it looks as though that you really did. So that was truly a good thing, guys. And last but not least, also looking at those standardizing data sets and ensuring data quality, okay, which was really huge for last week, okay? So that was really good, guys. So as far as I'm concerned, the learning material, the risk modeling, chapter 2 from our book with Tona and Roberts was a slam dunk, okay? You guys did great on your assignments. And like I said, I will have them graded by this upcoming Saturday, and then life will be good. We can put that week 3 behind us once I get your grades done. Okay, but like I said, I just got them all in late last night, this morning, so that's always a wonderful thing. Okay, so we had that one assignment. I want to go ahead and go over that just real briefly, guys. There wasn't really too much to that. It's just like, well, actually, there was a lot. Just remember, we had those. Excel spreadsheets that I told you about last week. You had to read the lecture slides first. Okay, those slides that I gave you, we'll go over that in just a second. But you had your homework document, and then you had that mode median Excel spreadsheet, the regression analysis, and then the unlabeled data. So you had all those spreadsheets to coincide with that homework 3 document. So that should have really gotten you where you needed to be at in regard to making sure you was aligned when it came to doing your assignment. So that should have been really straightforward, guys. And I know that it was because it was indicative from what I did all my cursory checks, looking at you guys' assignments, and you guys really did, in fact, nailed it, excuse me. So, and I really, really do appreciate that. And then now we had those PowerPoints, right? So as I alluded to last week, there was those 4 PowerPoints that everybody, from what I can tell thus far, really looked at it, did what they had to do, pulled the material down from the PowerPoints, and did a wonderful job. So, and I'm looking at that and just wanted to make sure, because that is the reason why I wanted to advocate last week, guys, and I did, that you really go through the PowerPoints and really take your time, make sure you understand everything and don't miss anything, because those PowerPoints, okay, were huge, okay, those 4. The first one was that AI and machine learning and risk modeling, okay, which I know you guys, because it really tied into each of the areas in chapter 2. Same thing with that descriptive statistics that I mentioned last week, and then that inferential statistics. Excuse me. Let me drink a little coffee. And then last but not least, it was understanding data, and then that data storage piece, right? So all those was really straightforward, guys. Those PowerPoints were really outlined nicely. So, because I wanted you guys to succeed, okay? And from the initial cursory overview, it looks like that everybody is in fact succeeding in regard to understanding what I want out of them, and then articulating that in your assignment, okay? And then taking great notes. So, only way you're going to be successful, excuse me, in your assignment was by reading the chapters, doing the PowerPoints, and following those Excel spreadsheets, okay, to answer the questions for your homework assignment. And it looks, from my cursory checks, I don't know for sure, guys, so don't hold me to it. But as of right now, everything looks suffice from my sample of about 10 students, okay? And that's from each section. So I usually do a sample size, typically about at least 20-30% of the class, right? I try to do at least about 20%, 25%, right? So out of both sections, B02 and B04, everybody is on it in a good way. So I'm really happy about that. And yes, you guys understood the assignment, literally. and not figuratively. Okay, so good job with that, guys. So, like I said, the spreadsheets along with those 4 PowerPoints I just articulated really aligned well with chapter 2, and it was evident by looking at you guys' output. So I'm really happy, AI peers. Okay, guys, I'll see you for our next lecture, lecture 3 or 4, and we will now jump into our current week, week 4.